Well, it happens to be Saturday afternoon, March the 30th, 2013. And what that means is it happens to be Easter weekend 2013. Happy Easter to all you Christians and
Pagans.
And no, pagans don't. Oh yeah, that's right. Easter tradition is based on paganism anyway, so happy Easter to you pagans who take part in Easter egg hunts and bunny rabbits and all that stuff. And happy Easter to all you Catholics, capital C-A-T-L-I-C-K, like my uncles used to say. You know, they were from when they grew up in Hell's Kitchen, New York, I think, and they used to say Catholic because they couldn't pronounce Catholic. Catholics and Christians, happy Easter. Happy Pagan Easter. I'm sorry. Happy Pagan Easter, which is going to be our subject later.
Goddess Ishtar.
Well, we're gonna touch upon that later on, but let me get me reading glasses out.
Oh boy.
And for those of you that comment on my reading glasses, you can also watch me scratch the center of my forehead. Oh, I got an itch.
Oh boy.
There's always somebody that comments.
What
that
the hell
has
does
a snide
anybody
remark.
have to do with the glasses?
I know, because everybody wears them. Even young people go out of their way just to make a fashion statement, go out of their way to get eyeglasses just so they can wear eyeglasses. Not like when I was a kid, they called you Poindexter and Four Eyes, you know, and today the kids want to have these eyeglasses for the fashion value of it. But I still got that flashback in my head about being called a Four Eye and a Poindexter.
Oh boy.
So I really don't like glasses. I do have contacts on. Anyway, Chiselers. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me get the formalities over with. Welcome everyone to Progressive Discussions. It happens to be Progressive Discussions. Happy Pagan Easter weekend. I am your host, James P. Madonna, and we are coming to you live and pre-recorded from the Newsletter Censored Research Center in northeastern New Jersey. And let me formally pipe aboard my co-host and mentor and the founder of Newsletter Censored in 1977. Pipe him aboard our progressive liberal pirate ship for Pagan Easter 2013. Arr! Ahoy, matey! Welcome aboard, and how are you feeling this Pagan Easter 2013?
Cool.
Finally, spring weather is here. Finally, spring weather is here, and I see your lovely pile of
That's only. That's not even. That's not all of it.
excessive debris is ready to
I had to put some on the bed.
tumble down. Whatever.
Well, I have.
That's another talk
I
show.
have a few notebooks out too because I have to draw up a protocol for someone.
For someone, a holistic health, natural holistic health
So
protocol.
I'm going through all my notey books.
Well, Dr. Bill, for this week, for the Chiselers Hall of Shame, and I saw it on the local news this past week, and I damn it, I should have wrote the details down as far as which hospital it was, but the fact is it happened in a hospital located in the New York metropolitan area, which involves northern New Jersey, the southern half of Connecticut, and Long Island, and New York City, usually, and a piece of New York State. I think Westchester County. Generally, they consider that Rockland County. They consider that New York metro area. This hospital's lovely, wonderful member of upper management, let's put it that way, walked around and in the hospital and started pulling the plug on poor patients that did not have private health insurance, because she, and I quote, wanted to make room in the hospital for people with private health insurance. So if you're poor, she pretty much played God and wanted to expedite you from the premises in a premature way if you were poor and did not have private health insurance. And this is the and of course she's most likely has been arrested, because to me that's premeditated murder. You know, when you plan on pulling the plug without consulting the relatives, you go around pulling the plug on people that have no private health insurance.
She was probably Republican.
She was probably Republican, and the whole administrating staff of the hospital is like many hospitals and medical centers in the United States, greedy, left-wing bloodsuckers. This is the right wing. I said left.
Yeah.
Greedy right wing.
Could be left too, you know. But
well,
you know.
Well, there are traitorous blue dog Democrats out there that happen to have voted for the Monsanto Protection Act. So you know, it's not just
actually it
crosses party line.
Actually, they did not vote for the Monsanto bill. It was the continuing resolution to pay the government, to fund the government. The Republicans slipped in the rider for Monsanto.
Well, for some reason, money allocated to help the poor was at stake. I don't know how the involvement was between, you know, money in general for the poor and the Monsanto Protection Act, but somebody posted some confusing mumbo jumbo that in order for the Democrats to save this money allocated for the poor,
no, it's not the poor. It's to continue the government. The continuing resolution pays for the government.
So the government won't.
Under George W. Bush, there were no budgets. There was continuing resolution.
You mean to prevent the government from being shut down?
Yeah.
Right. So
the Republicans snuck the rider in, so they knew it would pass.
So this is
nobody's going to vote against the continuing resolution.
Well, this is the worst example of health care in the American capitalist system that I have heard of. This is the worst example of greed that I ever heard, is when the hospital plays God and decides to become Dr. Kevorkian and pull the plug on people simply because they do not have private health insurance and they want to make room for monetary reasons, for greed. This is the ultimate. I mean, and of course the woman is going to have to answer to all those families, and maybe the hospital. I would say the hospital will get sued into oblivion. And now there's a New York state law that it takes 2 doctors to make a decision of whether or not the plug should be pulled. But if the patient signed an agreement with a lawyer that they do not want to be resuscitated, or they want to stay on life support system, you know, but it's a very confusing subject. If a person's brain dead, you know, clinically brain dead, then that is below vegetation, being a vegetable, because in order to breathe and respirate and swallow and all your basic functionings are done by a machine. okay, but your brain is still intact, then you are alive. If there's brain activity and the brain is still intact, I mean, it is always hope, you know. But when the brain is dead, like this this young lady that passed away, who I don't know, the Emmy Award winner. Somebody died recently, and but she was from a ski accident. She was brain dead.
Mm-hmm.
That's worse than being, you know, a vegetative state. I didn't write the person's name down because I figure her name would come up in the news, and it's not important who it is, but the subject in general is important about when to pull the plug and when not to. Now, when this woman decided to pull the plug without consulting the families, or, you know, or looking at the legalities in the files of the patients, that's bad. But anyway, I just wanted to bring that up for Chisley's Hall of Shame. Shame on you, American healthcare system. You're wicked, you're evil, you're greedy. You're no different than corporate CEOs in America. And
2 carrots were wanted to cross the road.
Carrots?
Carrots.
Is this an Easter
One
Bunny joke?
carrot
Yeah.
got across the road.
Right.
The other carrot got hit by a car.
Yeah.
What happened to it?
One crossed the road, one got hit by a car.
Yeah.
Why did that happen? Why did the carrot get hit by the car?
What
Was that the
happened
question?
to the carrot?
What happened to the carrot that got hit by a car?
Yeah.
Got shredded? It became baby food?
It's a vegetable.
It's in a vegetative state. Cute. A bit corny. These are the levity bells. But cute. Now, what do we got here? You know, I don't watch these shows, but one of the ladies of the house watches them, and, you know, what is it? Eye on Hollywood, Inside Edition, you know, the Hollywood gossip shows, and they were showing, you know, the Jewish princess Tori Spelling, the one that has her eyeballs are very widely spaced on her head.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she had a baby, gave birth, and she made a video, and her video is going public. So what I'm trying to say is, how egomaniacal are these celebrities going to become, where they actually, same thing with the fat ass spoiled Kardashians, that they think the public is actually, and if you are interested in every damn thing a celebrity does, you have no life whatsoever. But to actually assume that the public is interested in every single thing you do is very egomaniacal. I mean, I don't really give a shit what Tori Spelling does, or who she dates, or who she's married to, and the same thing goes for the Kardashians. I can care less, but evidently there are petty people who do care. Therefore, these Hollywood gossip shows are still on the air. Now, liberals and progressive liberal web pages, this annoys me. They're so preoccupied talking about the gay marriage issue and what Supreme Court justices have to say about it, that they're not giving enough attention to the Monsanto issue that was signed into law, this Monsanto Protection Act. That's important, not who people can marry, you know, legally or otherwise, or, you know, who cares? Americans becoming poisoned by Monsanto's genetically modified food is far more important than who gets married and who's allowed to get married. So, you know, and then you got posters put up by these liberal organizations showing entertainers, celebrities, and what they have to say about the gay marriage issue and everything. And you know, obviously they don't have their priorities straight. You know what I mean? Because all I've been reading about is the gay marriage issue. Meanwhile, this is extremely important with Monsanto.
Yeah.
Um,
That's why it ain't being looked at.
no. Now, and of course, New Jersey news, the local news, along with business people in New Jersey, they're so obsessed with whether or not the Jersey Shore is going to be able to be opened this season so they can rip people off.
Ew.
Heaven forbid that people should not be able to go to the Jersey Shore for one season. I mean, it's like the world is coming to an end to these nuts. You know, I mean, there are people who lived on the Jersey Shore that are still in a horrible, tragic crisis situation. I mean, and these people are going on and on. Oh, is the Jersey Shore going to reopen? Is it going to be? Is the restoration going to be completed on time for this season? Well, so you can buy a $5 hot dog,
Corn dog.
pay
Colossal corn dog.
pay whatever the hell it is, a high amount of money to get on the beach as a cover charge, pay to park your car, pay to change into your bathing suit, get ripped off by all the food establishments on the boardwalk. You know, I mean, like Gary Null said, this is just the tip of the iceberg with the storms. Sandy is just the beginning because of climate change. But they're like obsessed, and even the news people, with making sure the Jersey Shore opens up this season so these business people can continuously
Rake in the dough.
And of course, the beaches should not be privately owned.
Speaking of dough, that's funnel cakes.
Funnel cakes, right?
Yeah.
Actually, they're quite tasty because
They're just deep fried dough.
It's like a zeppoli that's waffled. You think about it. But the point is, beaches are not supposed to be privately owned. It's supposed to belong to the American citizens or citizens of New Jersey, and it's a racket. And also, this is part of the Chiseler's Hall of Shame also. So shame on you, New Jerseyans that have a business on the Jersey Shore, and all you ass-kissing Jerseyites that have nothing critical to say about the Jersey Shore at all, because their mother and father took them there when they were kids, and they're reminiscing and they live in the past, and it's like they go on and on. Believe me.
Well, hey, Palisades Park is gone today. Olympic Park is gone today in Maplewood, and it said, hey, things change.
Things change. Climate changes. Global warming. The storms are going to get worse. This was a Category 1. They're expecting full-fledged hurricanes in the very near future that are going to be coming up north. What are you going to do? You're going to spend like billions of dollars to restore the Jersey Shore and maybe Coney Island, New York. Every time a storm comes, every year, they're going to get wiped out. I mean, God forbid, but the point is, they're obsessed about it, but they rip the public off anyway. So I don't really care. And there are people who insist on living by the ocean. My poor brother, now, he was told by the insurance company, because he lives in Brick, New Jersey, that he has to raise his home, otherwise, and it's going to cost him $80,000. Otherwise, the insurance company will not insure his home in Brick, New Jersey, which is near Point Pleasant Beach. So he's stuck. He either raises the home and sells it at a huge loss. Or get ripped off and go further, deeper into debt, and come up with the 80 grand and raise the house so he can get home insurance, because if he sells it, he's going to take a huge loss. So here is the situation. He doesn't know what to do, and there are still people that are homeless from Tropical Storm Sandy that are waiting for their money.
Well, guess what?
What?
If we hadn't given all the money to the banks, there would be money for these people.
That's right.
But Washington, under G.W. Bush, the Republicans, and under the Democrats, the money went to the banksters, to the crooks who caused the problem.
Why is Barack Obama giving multi-millions? I don't know if it was 20 million or 200 million, but it was a hell of a lot of money, giving it to Jordan to take care of the Syrian refugees. When we have so many homeless people right here.
We got refugees here.
We got
Lakewood, New Jersey. They're out in tents in the woods.
Veterans of Iraq and Afghanistan living in tents in Florida in the woods. Other homeless people that got their mortgages foreclosed. Women with young children homeless. And it goes on. And the general homeless population. Tropical Storm Sandy victims that are still homeless.
Yeah.
There's refugees here in the United States.
You said it before.
But he's sending multi-millions, tens of millions of dollars to Jordan.
Before.
Yeah.
Our priorities are screwed.
The priorities of the American public are screwed up. The priorities of Washington are screwed up. The Republicans still want to give Wall Street bailouts. They still want to bail out the fat cats. All they have to do to balance the budget is not balance the budget on the backs of disabled people and senior citizens and getting rid of Social Security and getting rid of help for the poor. They could balance it by severely trimming the defense budget, stop all Wall Street bailouts, okay,
and subsidies to oil companies,
right, and make the rich pay their fair share.
Oh, he said the magic word.
In taxes.
He said the magic word.
That alone would solve the deficit problem, solve the problem of the poor and the homeless.
Guess what?
Stimulate the economy.
Guess what?
Because what?
In 1999, in 2000, the deficit problem was solved. There was a surplus handed to Mr. G.W. Bush.
Which he inherited from Bill Clinton.
Yes.
And he ruined the whole thing.
That's correct.
That's how you would quickly solve all these problems. They claim that the Iraq War, the money that was spent in the Iraq War, a portion of that money would provide solar panels for every homeowner in the United States today.
Both wars, it's $6 trillion.
Not counting the bailouts.
There's no deficit if that money were used properly.
Exactly, there'll be no deficit.
And guess what? We wouldn't have had to raise the taxes on the rich.
Right.
Not that I, applaud that, but...
And outsourced jobs, like all those office jobs that went to the Philippines and those poor people are getting a $1 an hour with no benefits, any products coming back from China or from any outsourced American company, they should be tariffed. They should be tariffed, which will discourage outsourcing of American jobs.
If we tax them properly,
which is
and et cetera,
not patriotic
in this country,
yeah,
they wouldn't do that. Now the corporations are having difficulties today because it was China at first, but now China has to increase the wages for their people. So now we got Vietnam is the next one.
Well, they'll keep on searching.
Yes.
They'll outsource. They went from India to China. Now it might go from India to Vietnam, right?
Vietnam, yeah.
And then until everybody unionizes.
And the wages are even, all around the globe.
Yeah. By the way, that crazy lunatic leader of North Korea that looks like the Gangman man that does the horse dancing. He looks just like the Gangman man. He wants to start World War III. He wants to nuke the United States.
Well, he can't reach us yet. You have to go through South Korea.
So China and Russia, which are allies of North Korea, are trying to defuse and quell the situation and calm him down because they do business with the United States. China
Isn't it funny that
does business with
under
us.
G.W. Bush, he never...
Gungbin style.
Well, he never went
He looks
after...
just like him, yeah.
He never went after North Korea in any way, shape, or form.
Plus, he's a 30-year-old
But it was all
guy.
Iran. It was all Iran. It was all Iran.
Oh, yeah, now Iran.
And Iran.
Iran, they're making claims about Iran like they did about Iraq with weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah.
You think they're finding new excuses to prolong the war profiteering?
They're finding excuses to allow Israel over there to blast them with their Air Force. That's what they're looking for.
All right. Something funny, but it's not funny.
Uh-oh.
The one of the famous conservative lunatics that are in the spotlight. This man is definitely in the spotlight. Mr. Glenn Beck
Ugh.
says that the investigation of Michelle Bachmann's ethics is a terrorist scheme. It is a plot from terrorists. And I think Pat Robertson made some stupid comments recently also, but they always do. I mean, Ann the Cunter from Fox News, Ann Cunter, and I say that jokingly in a sarcastic way. They're trying to top each other with who can say the most
Stupidest things?
asinine, numbskull, who can give the craziest comments and say stupid things, and they all do.
And be believed.
And be believed without proven facts. But what's even worse is the minions of Americans that follow the lies coming from these teabagger idiots. So Glenn Beck says, you can't, so nobody can investigate any conservative without...
No, but she wanted to investigate Congress because there's socialists in Congress.
Oh.
You know?
But yeah, socialism. But from what Sarah Palin had said, how Alaska operates. To me,
It is.
So I know, in terms of religion, the right wing are bona fide hypocrites when it comes to religion, and that's proven. Speaking of religion, let us go right to pagan Easter. Now, the fertility goddess Ishtar was a fertility goddess of ancient Babylon and the Assyrians, from what I understand, and the symbols of the egg and the bunny rabbit
Colored eggs.
and the rabbit too are symbols of fertility, which stem from the roots of modern day Easter traditions. So, of course, pagan Christmas has its roots in paganism. Right now we're dealing with Easter. So could you give a rundown, in your own words, of pagan Easter and its origin?
Well, you just said pagan Easter. Pagan Easter comes from those times and in that area, and they were taken over by the Roman Catholic Church, or Catholic Church as we tend to know it. The Roman Catholic Church in the early centuries.
Hey, the Roman Catholic Church.
And it was made into a Christian
Here's my
festival
sinuses
holiday.
every time. Huh? Yeah, it was made into a holiday.
Yeah.
Well, the
But-
early Christians under the Holy Roman Empire, right, was when Simon Magus officially started the Catholic Church, not Jesus, like the Catholic Church tells you in the commercial.
Well, the Catholic Church will tell you Peter
Peter?
started it.
Not Peter Popoff.
Peter, the original apostle.
Not Popoff.
But Simon Magus's name was Peter. Papa.
Papa.
Padre.
Padre, yeah.
And that's where the church got its beginnings. From Simon Magus.
Right.
Not Peter, the original apostle.
Yeah.
And it's certainly not based on Jesus or Christ, as they tend to say in that commercial. Also.
Yeah. Well, right from day one, the beginnings of the Catholic Church, it appeared that they did not adhere to the Bible. They made up their own man-made laws, often unfair and corrupt, and they had
often corrupt.
They had a power agenda, right? And greed.
You ever see Luther?
Martin Luther, the man who started the first Protestant church in Germany, Martin Luther.
Jeez. Under the Catholic Church, you could pay for indulgences, and the sins of your dead relatives and everything will be forgiven.
If you pay a fee.
Pay a fee to the church.
If you donate a gift magnanimously to the Catholic Church, you will get. In other words, they represented God. They had a stovepipe.
Well, the Pope
and a bat phone to God. So
was the vicar of Christ.
Right.
He stood in for Christ.
So if you
supposedly.
paid the fee to the Catholic Church, they believe that
they gave you a piece of paper with an indulgence on it, and your relative was out of purgatory, man. Out of purgatory. Oh yeah.
So they were very similar to the televangelists of today, who tell you to do something silly, and you will be blessed many times over, and you'll be saved, and as long as you tithe and give all that money to the evangelists, everything will be hunky-dory.
Hunky-dory, man.
So that's basically it. It is pagan oriented. The traditions come from Ishtar, which is a Babylonian and Assyrian goddess of fertility, and has nothing to do with the death and the resurrection, the salvation provided by Jesus Christ, and has nothing to do with, for Jewish people, for the Passover. It has nothing. It's total paganism.
However, now
total paganism.
Now the truth of Easter week over there, what you would call it. In that week, there were 2 Sabbaths. The Passover and the weekly Sabbath.
You're talking about real bona fide Old Testament holidays. The Passover is one of them.
Oh, by the way, to be celebrated forever.
Like the other ones, the Feast of the Tabernacle, the day of
unleavened bread, the Feast of the Trumpets, etc.
What about the Day of Pentecost?
You know?
Day of Pentecost, right?
Yes. These are commanded by God to be celebrated forever, because they expose God's plan. See? So without them, that's why people don't understand what's going on in the Bible, or God's plan, or the red thread, as I say.
Oh, by the way, Lent and Palm Sunday, is that from Catholicism?
Yes.
Lent and Palm Sunday, okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
Now, the fact of the matter is, he did go into the town the week before.
And they did lay palms on the ground.
And they did lay palms, yes.
Because I guess the desert sand is very hot.
But let us get something very straight in our minds right now.
Yes, sir.
Jesus was asked, "Are you the Messiah? If you are the Messiah, give us a sign."
You mean when he was on trial?
No, before that.
Before. Give us a sign. Prove it.
Prove it.
These are not the disciples that he performed miracles in front of. We're talking about when he was being...
Well, were sent, John the Baptist sent to people to Jesus to ask him, "Are you the one?" Okay. But the point is, Jesus said to them that there would be no sign except the sign of Jonah being in the belly of the big fish for 3 days and 3 nights. Now Jesus understood that one day consisted of 12 hours of light and 12 hours of dark. Okay? So, if we have Jesus crucified and dead on Friday, he died on the cross about 3 o'clock, so we take him off the cross, and we put and they're saying now the Shroud of Turin is not a fake. But anyway, we cover him, we put him in a tomb. All right. Now the women come to the tomb on Sunday morning early, and he's gone. And the angel says he's risen. Now let us count the hours from, let's just put it at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock Friday. And we count from 4 o'clock on Friday to Saturday. That's 12 hours. I mean, 24 hours, right? And then we count from Saturday 4 o'clock till, let's say, Sunday morning. That's 36 hours. So that's not 3 days and 3 nights.
No.
Okay. So we go back to the fact again about the 2 Sabbaths in that week. The fact of the matter was Jesus was not crucified on what they call now Good Friday. He was crucified on Wednesday of that week. So if you count from Wednesday, 4, 5, well actually sundown, that's when you count from, sundown. Sundown to, from Wednesday to Thursday, Friday and Saturday. Well, of course he's risen on Sunday because he rose on Saturday. 3 days and 3 nights. 72 hours, as he said. So he was added to him. So they got that wrong. Okay, the celebration. Friday, Good Friday, and Saturday and Sunday, but that's because of Emperor Constantine and the Council of Nicaea. The first day of the week is the Sabbath to them. Okay.
Well, the
mark of the beast.
The true Sabbath is supposed to be Saturday.
Sundown Friday to sundown Saturday. That's the Sabbath.
You mean that's what the Jewish people recognize?
That's what God recognized.
Right, and that's what it's supposed to be.
He gave the Sabbath, not the Jewish people.
Yeah,
the Jewish people carry it on.
So this worship of this decision to make it on Sunday, to make the Sabbath Sunday, that was man-made.
Because they didn't want to be Judaized. See, because at that time, that was 125 A.D. 125. And the Catholic Church, of course, was having the Roman Empire kill Jews and anybody who were true Christians from the true church.
Well, the original disciples were martyred, right?
11 of them
were martyred. Yeah, so they didn't want to be Judaized. Don't they realize the Old Testament is a big part of the Bible?
They, like you said
before,
the Bible they didn't get their whatchamacallits from the Bible.
Okay? It's man-created.
That's correct. The Pope made these decisions. The Popey.
He was like a fascist.
Well, he stood in for Jesus, so anything he said, and then of course he's error-proof. He doesn't make any mistakes.
Well, he reminds me of when G.W. Bush says the U.S. Constitution is nothing but a damn piece of paper.
Goddamn piece of paper.
Yeah.
And the U.S. Treasury bonds that the Social Security Administration owns are nothing but pieces of paper in a file drawer.
Let me ask you. Let me make a statement really quick. Based on what you just said now. You know, when the U.S. military personnel are sworn in, one of the things that they swear and promise to do is to defend the U.S. Constitution. I mean, is one of the primary swearing-in statements made by all military personnel.
And George W. Bush. The president does it too.
Does it also.
Yeah.
And then they turn around and they violate that.
Well, the Republicans in Congress are doing that all the time. What they're promulgating and trying to get into law and etc. has nothing to do with the Constitution or the country as a whole. It has to do with their ideology and their party. Period.
Total partisan politics.
Yeah.
Is all they care about.
Exactly.
They don't care about the American people.
They don't care about the Constitution.
Or the economy being, stimulating or creating jobs in the U.S., which is nonsense because all the jobs are outsourced. But, okay, let us, I think we have time for one good story before your lunch, because we had to get through this Happy Pagan Easter 2013 thing, Let us sink our teeth into these readings. So pick a good one, because we have to take a break.
Whatever's on the top.
Whatever's on it.
Representative Don Young, Republican. The gruff veteran who represents the entire state of Alaska apologized Friday for referring to Hispanic migrant workers as wetbacks.
Well, you know what? They don't talk derogatory about them when they work for the Republicans for a less than minimum wage.
Yes, they do behind their backs.
Behind their backs,
yes.
Yeah. In other words, they have contempt for them, but they like to hire them.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, but the problem is that Republicans, when you catch them off guard,
yeah,
they believe like they're talking to another Republican, and they use this crap all the time. You see?
Oh, like Mitt Romney got caught off guard.
Exactly.
And that wonderful gentleman who I will salute, that taped Mitt Romney's statement that time.
Mr. Prouty.
Mr. Prouty, I am proud of you.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I want a moment of silence. I saw it on the internet, and I hope to God, I don't know. I mean, I saw it on the internet, and Nature Boy Ric Flair's son, Reid Flair, passed away. And I don't know the details about how and why he died, but I remember him. I remember seeing him on TV on a wrestling show. I think it was WCW. I forget, but just a moment of silence for Reid Flair's premature passing, because I don't think anybody would falsify that, because it would be in very bad, horrible taste. So I mean, you know how the internet information can be.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, moment of silence. Okay.
Anyway, back to Mr. Young.
Our condolences to the entire Flair family, and of course to the Nature Boy, Ric Flair.
Back to Mr. Young. I apologize for the insensitive term I used during an interview in Ketchikan, Alaska. Young, a Republican, no kidding,
Good.
said in a statement after lawmakers from both political parties called on him to apologize. There was no malice in my heart. Or in... How can that be when the Republicans do not have hearts?
No, they don't have hearts, so whatever they have
mechanical pumps.
It's like, well, even the Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz, when he didn't have a heart, even he, at that time, he had more of a heart than Republicans.
Yeah.
Some jabroni is hammering something outside.
Young said that word
Yeah.
and the negative attitudes that come with it should be left in the 20th century.
That's right.
Republicans should be left in the 20th century. Because that's what they are. They're back in the 50s.
Yeah, it's funny. All the older generation, conservative people, like relatives and people I run into that say, what's your matter? They'll say, you're not working? If somebody's not working, go get a job. Go get a job. Rah. Come on. You're lucky. Like my sister says, it's even hard to get a fast food restaurant job, let alone a adequate job to pay your bills.
Well, if you see...
Get a job. You're lazy. Get a job. They're still thinking like they're back in the 1950s or early 60s.
What is that...
Leave it to Beaver days.
That job website, not Monster. The
Well,
other one.
there's oh man.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's similar to Monster.com.
Yeah. Anyway.
Career Builder.
No, they got a new commercial, and the girl comes on, and the guy asks her, "Well, what kind of a job did you get from such and such website?" "Oh, I got a retail job." "Well, what the hell? Whoop-de-doo."
Oh wow! You mean like Walmart? Like a Walmart
Probably
job.
some kind of cash register banging. That's all.
Guarantee it's part-time, and guarantee
No benefits.
they start you off with maybe $7,000 to $8,000 an hour without benefits.
Yeah.
And it's part-time.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. So you can't live on that today. Even if a married couple both had one of these chicken feed paying retail jobs, you still can't pay
$7.25 an hour is $15,000 a
you
year.
still can't pay your bills.
Right.
And the rent.
So that's under the poverty line.
It's below the poverty
below
line.
the poverty line.
Give me a break, asshole Republicans. They are such... They have absolutely no solutions to any of our problems today.
Anyway, Mr. Young again. I'm sorry that this has shifted our focus away from comprehensive immigration reform. The 79-year-old Young, the second most senior Republican in the House, issued a statement late Thursday seeking to explain his remark after using the derogatory term to describe the workers on his father's farm in Central California where he grew up.
Let me guess. He still thinks they should get paid what they did in 1950.
Oh!
Why doesn't the old geezer just retire? or croak?
Get out of there.
Get out of Congress or the Senate.
Young, discussing the labor market during an interview with radio station KRBD, said that on his farmer's ranch, we used to have 50 to 60 wetbacks to pick our tomatoes.
People, older folk like this Republican, somebody should tell him, you make very good fertilizer for your farm. Republicans that are, up in years make very good fertilizer.
He said that today, it only takes 2 people to pick the same tomatoes. It's all done by machine.
Yeah, well, that's
why there ain't no jobs.
How many tomatoes can you? Well, you know what? When you're talking about factory farming and and all the GMO produce and everything, you need the machine. But on a really good organic farm that emphasizes quality, you're not going to have quantity. But then again, if we bring back the local organic farms,
small
in every state, every section, every corner of America, then there will be enough food produced to go around.
Unfortunately, though, we keep paving over good farmland.
That's right. I'm telling you. And this chip that, some people are making claims that you have to get the medical ID chip in order to participate in Obamacare. I don't know if that's bullshit Republican propaganda. So they're trying to say that this Obama healthcare chip is the mark of the beast.
No. I just said what the mark of the beast was before. It is Sunday, the Sabbath. The mark of the beast.
calling the Sabbath day Sunday
Correct.
instead of Saturday.
Correct.
But all these conspiracy theorists that are paranoid and hate government, because they're always blaming government for everything.
Well, why the
They
hell
say
are
it's the chip, the healthcare chip.
But they are the government. I mean, it's the same thing with the gun argument that people. I'm afraid the government's coming after me with their black helicopters, etc. They want to take away my guns.
But who are they gonna?
But who the hell is running the government? The Republicans.
But who are they gonna trust? Big business? They're gonna trust a corporate CEO? I trust big government over a corporate CEO any day.
Oh, not the Republicans.
Yeah, well, because they're getting their palms greased.
Oh, yeah.
Campaign contributions and lobbyists. Listen, we got to take a break. It's time for the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman's gastronomic delight known as lunch, followed by mega supplementation, because his newsletter censored research center just 24/7 into the late night. Okay. You know, Dr. Bill. The cat Smokey is nothing but trouble compared to your other cats that like to come over around here at the Newsletter Censored Research Center. And you said he reminds you of Dennis the Menace, but I had said that Dennis the Menace was a royal pain in the ass, especially to Mr. Wilson. But he's nothing compared to the children of today. Dennis the Menace was an angel.
Well, you saw that thing that I shared up there on Facebook.
Jay North. Oh yeah.
About the
yeah, it says
the
of course
problem is today.
the kid is saying in the banner, of course I'm a bully and I'm disrespectful because you don't discipline me the old-fashioned way anymore. We don't get disciplined.
You don't allow my parents to beat my ass.
Younger generation parents today feel that you have to negotiate with your kids almost like they're adults.
Yeah, you
like
have to be their friends instead of their parents.
Like they're equal. Because they're so worried about traumatizing the poor little darlings.
You won't love me.
Well, they're so afraid of failing as a parent. You know what I mean?
That they fail as a parent.
That they end up failing as a parent.
Exactly.
The kid grows up to be a monster. What about these upper income workaholic yuppie parents that are talking about the kids, what college the kid should go to when he's a toddler? I mean, everything's about money, monetary gain with these people in America.
And position.
Corporate ass kissers. Yeah, position. What school is he going to go to? What kind of job is he going to get? Maybe it's because these people are conservative and they're afraid they might have to give the kid money all the time. You know how Republicans hate to shell out money, so they want to make sure the kid is successful, so maybe he can take care of them in their old age, and they won't have to give him any money.
Well, they certainly have no trouble giving money to ExxonMobil.
Yeah. Yeah, they have no problem at all giving welfare to the rich, but heaven forbid they should give welfare to a poor person.
Because the poor are lazy.
Well, we were also talking about the history of Paisley, which is what this symbol here on my tie is. Of course, a Persian friend of mine explained to me originally what the Paisley represented. He is the head coach of the Zircone, which means the House of Strength, the Zircone Australia, for the Palavani, which is Persian martial arts, and physical fitness and exercise with the clubs, the wooden clubs and the Shenna board. Anyway, he told me that the Paisley is actually a leaf which represents when a tree branches at the bottom are loaded with leaves or possibly fruit also, and they start to grow downward. They hang downward, which represents humility. One of the big rules of Palavani, and I think also Buddhism, because they're very nice. Christianity, all of the great religions that are nice religions, that are the people are very inoffensive. They all preach humility. Humility is very important because that's how God is. You're supposed to be humble and show humility and compassion, and to be very selfless, and to do things for people less fortunate than you, helping the poor, which is what a lot of Palavans do. They'll go out and they'll help the poor. Instead of concentrating on, focusing on me, like they do here in the United States. These people in certain religions practice humility. Isn't a monk supposed to take like a sort of a vow of poverty? Where they're supposed to, I guess, mimic the life of Jesus.
Jesus was not impoverished. He was a carpenter. He made a good living. His father was a carpenter.
Maybe
they had their own business.
Maybe Hollywood made him impoverished.
Wasn't impoverished at all. When he went about preaching with the apostles, they took in money. People tithed to them, gave to them. But other than that, his 30 years, I guess, as a teenager and up to the age 30, he was carpenter.
But he was not ostentatious with his income.
No,
he wasn't a show-off like, let's say, the Pharisees.
Well,
the Pharisees
and the Sadducees, and they were the big boys in charge in those days under King Herod.
Were they similar to the cardinals of the Roman Catholic Church, the Pharisees, to Judaism?
No.
No?
These people they were crooked. That's why he chased them out of the temple.
They were corrupt, yeah.
They were corrupt. It was money, but they were in charge. They didn't like Jesus coming around and sort of like competing with them.
Oh, that's
how they looked at it.
Is that like when you go to a Catholic church carnival? Lots of times you'll see the Wheel of Fortune, spin the wheel and win a prize.
Didn't you get kicked out of one?
You'll see bingo. Yeah, bingo. Yeah, me and Ken Create got kicked out of what was it? St. Francis.
Was it Francis? Oh, you're Francis.
St. Francis Roman Catholic Church in Lodi, New Jersey, because some heckler, some teenage punk heckler was heckling the Renaissance man Ken Create, and I pretty much told the kid off, and then all of a sudden the guy in charge of because it was on private property, it wasn't on the street, the carnival, so the guy in charge of the carnival came with about a half a dozen Lodi cops and escorted myself and Ken Create off the premises. And Ken Create did not want me to post the video. I made a video, and he did not want me to post it on the internet because he said he wanted to go to Lodi City Hall and talk to the mayor about it, but he never did. It never happened. Which brings me to a subject that I want to revisit next week, which is ass kissing.
Mm-hmm.
Pandering. I see it all the time. Social pandering, social ass kissing, corporate ass kissing in the entertainment industry. Like you have...
in vanilla porn even.
Well, that's rimming. That's literal.
That's rimming, baby.
You're talking about in the literal sense. I'm talking about, even guys, late night TV, David Letterman, Greg Ferguson, they're constantly walking on eggshells and apologizing to their guests because they're afraid of saying the wrong thing. Mm-hmm. They're afraid of offending somebody, which is probably the biggest flaw of progressive liberals, is they want everyone to like them and approve of them and accept them. That's why Obama is always talking about bipartisanship compromising with the Republicans. You know, you can't do it. You can't negotiate with criminals and terrorists. And you can't negotiate with an extreme right winger, conservative. You know, but yeah, they want to be liked, they want to be accepted. And hey, there are other people which I admire. I'm going to salute Joan Rivers. She doesn't pull any punches. She says what's on her mind. Gotta love her. Joan Rivers, I'm a big fan of yours. I'm proud of you. You got gumption, kid.
Gumption.
You got gumption.
Real gumption, kid.
Right? Howard Stern, too, says what's on his mind, says what he wants. But then again, so does Donald Trump. Well, he was on...
None of it is accurate, of course.
Yeah, he's a conservative. He's a Republican. He went to that...
CPAC.
That CPAC. Oh, by the way, Chris Christie was
and
not...
there was nobody in the audience when he was there.
Well, he did tell Letterman, would you get off my back with my hair? You're always picking on me with my hair. My hair. Hey, get a normal hairstyle, a haircut like your son.
I got
and
news
people
for you.
won't pick on him.
You know that hair?
Looks like roadkill.
The other day I opened the door.
Looks like roadkill. Yeah.
Looking for one of my cats to come in.
And you saw...
Outside under my ramp,
Saw a raccoon?
a skunk started waddling out and waddling across the street. I swear, looked just like Donald Trump's hair if he moves his head.
Pepe Le Pew?
Jeez.
Pepe Le Pew. Yeah, I mean, the guy's he admitted he is now a billionaire.
$6 billion he's made.
And he can't get a decent hairstyle.
How come he's gone bankrupt several times?
Rich people are always crying the blues and playing the big violin. They're always crying poverty. Oh, woo boo hoo, you know. All my money's tied up. Oh, I got so much overhead and blah blah blah. You know.
Or I have $6 billion, but I cry over a lousy $100,000 tax increase.
Well, look at about what did Martha Stewart go to prison for? 30 or 40 grand back then?
40 grand.
Martha Stewart, what she's worth. It serves her right. You know, look, hey, if you're that greedy and stingy, it serves you right. You know, but of course, Christie didn't get invited to the CPAC because he hugged Obama during Tropical Storm Sandy.
Oh yeah, you see whatchamacallit keeps putting that stuff up there against Obama on Facebook, man.
Well,
wow.
Listen.
What the hell has Obama done?
Let me tell you something. Everybody I know who is a big conspiracy theorist fan and likes Alex Jones and Jesse Ventura and others like them, they sound libertarian, number one. They sound libertarian, and they're always putting the blame on government and Obama, but it's always government. These people never, ever mention corporate CEOs, big business. Everything is the blame. Government is always the blame for everything. All of our problems is always government, when it's actually the fat cat's elitists that run the corporations.
The plutocracy, baby.
That's the
marriage of the corporation and the state equals fascism.
Right, there you go.
Thank you.
There you go. You always learn something from our show, Progressive Discussions. And I have a bone to pick with this jabroni on YouTube that put a comment about, the first half hour was great, but the rest of the show seemed like rambling. Hey, we never just ramble for the sake of talking. You probably were not listening to the content of our show. Because I'm
a rambling man.
I'm a rambling man, yeah. We do get humorous every now and then. Totally unrehearsed, spur of the moment humor. The whole show is unrehearsed. Even though people have told me, why you got to have a script, you got to pre-plan everything when you do a show. What? And be like everybody else?
Yeah.
And be like the major networks?
Yeah.
The whole show should consist of a long list of questions do like a quick question and answer thing with Bill or with a guest, then we'll be like business as usual, like the major networks. You know, we don't believe in that. We want to do like what Jackie Gleason believed in, total ad-libbing, and everything has a tendency to naturally flow together. The issues just flow into one another naturally, and the humor too, unexpected. But the point is, we cover the issues and the subjects with facts. We just don't believe in doing what the established media does. Heaven forbid. Anyway, let's get back to these readings. Sink our teeth into these readings for Pagan Easter 2013.
My daughter just had her heart broken.
Hey, join the club.
She didn't have a heart attack, but it felt like one.
Okay.
What causes the physical pain?
Wait a minute. She had a physiological incident? How old was her daughter?
Well, we don't know.
Yet.
But it doesn't really matter.
Okay.
We're discussing the actual physical pain of a psychological or a emotional event in one's life.
Heart,
a broken heart.
You're talking about the psychological broken heart.
Obviously, her lover dumped her.
Not if somebody hit her in the chest with the shillelagh.
No,
We're talking about...
No.
Okay.
We're talking about...
I mean the boo-hoo-hoo broken heart. Sadness, grief.
Grief.
Stress, grief, sadness. Continue.
The medical term is stress cardiomyopathy.
Yeah.
Symptoms may include chest pain, shortness of breath.
Yeah, anxiety attacks.
When a susceptible person is suddenly walloped by a massive amount of stress hormones, part of the heart's main pumping chamber may stretch and weaken. Triggers can range from an emotional breakup to learning of the death of a loved one.
Oh, that's extremely... That takes its toll on you psychologically.
The event is not a classic heart attack, but it can stun the heart into malfunctioning.
An anxiety attack, for whatever reason, feels like you're getting a heart attack.
One should seek medical care promptly. Damage to the heart muscle is possible, depending on one's underlying conditions, which may have contributed to the episode in the first place. Now we go back all the way to Mr. Wilhelm Reich.
Oh, by the way,
And that's what he's found.
Argon, speaking of Wilhelm Reich,
there's the orgon right there.
the shape of orgon energy is exactly in the shape of the paisley, like a sperm. Spermatozoon?
Spermatozoon.
Spermatozoon is one sperm.
One sperm.
One spoim. Spermatozoon.
Zoom.
Well, I will be stuffing my face tomorrow and having some high quality rum and whiskey and eating my sister's wonderful home cooking. She's making baked manicotti, or some Italians call it manigot, and a baked like a honey glazed ham with cloves and pineapple, a baked smoked ham.
Where are the cloves?
Cloves are the strongest.
Just a moment.
Let me tell you, strongest antioxidant known, man.
I just read the other day whilst going through my notebook.
Yeah.
Cloves can have the same effect on your body as caffeine.
There's a stimulant in cloves. Well, yerba mate of South America, the herb is a stimulant. Certain natural plants can be stimulants.
Well, yes, of course.
They say cocoa is not all that bad. Cocoa's not all that bad. Oh, by the way, I absolutely love coconut palm sugar. Gary No mentions it. It says that it's low glycemic, and I got 2 jars from Thailand. Cost me like $2.79 or $2.75 each, and I love it.
Love it.
It tastes like raw honey.
Oh.
Everything from the coconut is healthy.
Except when they put sugar in it.
No, you don't want that.
And they do that.
You don't want that.
The United States wars, we were speaking of this before, in Afghanistan and Iraq will cost taxpayers $4 trillion to $6 trillion.
Yeah, and why are we still there spending this kind of money on these wars?
We're supposedly training the Afghans so they can stand up and protect their country.
I think they just, in reality, they don't want the U.S. to occupy their countries anymore. They want us out. Get out of my country. I don't blame them.
Well, Mr. Karzai does.
Look at the deficit.
The Iraqis kicked us out.
Look at the deficit that can be solved by not wasting money and pumping it into these wars. The deficit in the economy it'll be gone. The deficit will be gone.
Well, the neocons wouldn't have nothing to do then, would they?
Don't they want a surplus?
Hell no! They want continuous war. They want 100 years war.
Do you think that they're trying to sabotage any Democrats that get elected?
They
Perhaps.
don't want any other country to ever stand up to the United States.
They want to take over the world.
Yeah.
They want to conquer the world.
Conquer everyone.
Conquer
They have a whole
Zavoyals.
plan with Africa and etc. Iran and Iraq. That's where it started.
And they want to turn the world into a corporate plutocracy.
Yeah.
A form of fascism where the corporation controls everything and everybody. But some countries, by the way, are saying no to Monsanto and burning the Monsanto crops. Some countries are doing it.
They should, but the problem is in America, just like with the FDA.
I'm saluting them.
The FDA, ALEC, they get their laws passed.
Because
By hook or crook.
Because they're paying off the politicians
Why, certainly.
in those countries.
They own our government. Nobody would dare do anything to a corporation in this country. And by the way,
Well, I flat out refuse
as Mitt Romney
to work
said,
for chicken feed and be a sucker for a corporation.
corporations are people, my friend.
Corporations are demons. They're scumbags. And
Well, they
Mitt
certainly
Romney
are.
is a scumbag. Anybody who's a rich elitist is a scumbag in my book. Or conservative. They are also the biggest scumbags.
Especially when they stick their noses in politics.
Oh, even Ronald Reagan himself says keep church and state separated. If a church wants to affect politics, pay taxes, man. Yeah, do not look. Back in the day, anybody who was on the ballot, they got FaceTime. Everybody went to the debates. The independents were at the debates, as well as the Republicans and Democrats. You know, everybody was at the debates.
When the League of Women Voters held them.
Right. Now, the problem is money's involved with politics, and only the fat cats get FaceTime.
Money talks, baby. Money trumps freedom of speech.
So capitalism, which is the devil's economics, is the corrupt system that is infiltrating other cultures, other countries, taking
Oh,
over.
yeah, we like to spread it all around the world, this dung. This capitalistic dung.
You know what amazes me? The wealthiest person on the planet Earth is a Mexican living in Mexico.
Yeah, there's like 35 rich families in this.
And it's like, I thought Mexico was like a poor
Well,
Latin American country.
remember the Greek shipbuilder guy?
Aristotle Onassis?
Yeah, he
Aristotle.
was pretty damn rich.
He's
I think
Greek,
there's
man.
one-
He's European.
I think there's a billionaire in Russia too, or several.
Already?
Yeah. Are you kidding? You know how long they've been under the capitalistic system over there?
So would you consider...
Since 1999.
Would you consider them...
1989.
Would you consider them similar to the czars of Russia?
Well, I don't know how much
the
pull
millionaires.
he has in politics, but,
Ugh.
you know, when you got the moolah, you get the FaceTime talking to Vladimir Putin,
Mm-hmm.
and etc. So,
Well,
whatever it
I think
is.
old man Spock would agree that the money, it is illogical for money to be in politics, which makes it corrupt, right? Old man Spock would agree that anybody who gets enough votes to get on that ballot should have FaceTime and go to the debates. And that would be the logical, fair thing to do.
Well, I don't think, you know, our Congress said it knows anything about fairness.
By the way, is that the Jack Russell that keeps on barking?
No. It is a pit bull mix. The Jack Russell is gone, as is the blonde one. They are no longer here because Mr. John is taking the dirt sleep.
Right. The big Deutsch sleep.
Big dirt sleep. Taking into account the medical care of wounded veterans and expensive repairs to a force depleted by more than a decade of fighting, according to a new study by the Harvard University researchers. Washington increased military benefits in late 2001 as the nation went to war, seeking to quickly bolster its talent pool and expand its ranks. Those decisions and the protracted nation-building efforts launched in both countries will generate expenses for years to come.
It's never the pet's fault. It's the asshole owners. Same thing with child rearing, children. That's why, people are dicks. All right, go ahead.
Linda Bilmes, a public policy professor, wrote in the report released on Thursday. Bilmes said, the United States has spent almost $2 trillion already for the military campaigns in Afghanistan and Iraq. But those costs are only a fraction of the ultimate price tag.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Okay?
Oh, is that painting done yet?
No!
Okay, just asking.
I don't have time to paint anymore. You know what I mean? I'm a very busy man.
Oh, yeah.
Very busy.
Especially when you're trying to slap together a new censored
That's done already.
issue. Oh, it is done.
It's at the editor's desk.
Really? So,
And she better get it back here
so the four...
in case anything happens to that machine and I won't be able to send it to the printer. And she then will have to make all corrections to her thing and send it there.
Yeah.
So if she...
But you
better
know
get
women,
ready.
you know female professionals have a tendency
You know?
to procrastinate and put things off.
Well, I have no idea this young lady is brandy new
The editor,
to the organization.
instead of getting the work back to you in a timely fashion.
It's probably been a week.
So those 4 pages that you wrote before the computer crisis, you were able to retrieve those 4 pages. Okay.
Yep. Now they're safe. They're on CDs now. But my point is,
You and your CDs.
if I don't have the computer to work on, then how am I going to make the corrections to the master?
Yeah.
She will have to do it. And it was supposed to be out in March. Tomorrow is the end of March.
When is the Ides of March?
14, I think.
Is it one day, the Ides?
The Ides have it. I read what was another article regarding what's wrong with the Republican Party. It's simple. The party has 2 many Republicans whose opinions and ideas are formed by the likes of Fox News, Rush Limbaugh, and Michelle Bachmann.
You ever take a good look of Antonin Scalia's face?
Oh my
it's
God!
fat. It's shaped like Rush Limbaugh's face. I noticed. It's shaped like Rush Limbaugh's. He's got a double chin.
I'm going to tell you something. First of all, he has no idea what he's talking about.
He talks like through his ass.
He's always talking about the original Constitution, that we're supposed to obey the original Constitution.
Yeah, what happened to the original Constitution?
The Constitution is not, get this, not a living document. That means it must not be changed at all. I thought we were allowed to amend it. Does that not mean change it? Therefore, ipso facto ergo, it's a living document.
Duh.
Jerk.
Duh.
What an ass that man is. The result is, oh, and besides, he's a Catholic. Now, if he had the same zeal for history that he has for the history of the Constitution, supposedly, he would find out what church he belongs to.
Yeah.
It killed 50 million people in history.
Oh, by the way,
Has everything wrong.
he doesn't know
Jesus
shit.
and the Bible and everything.
He's his judicial ways, habits are totally based on an unproven ideology.
Oh, good.
And a scandalous ideology at
But
that.
he carries that ideology around with arrogance.
That's how they do it.
Total arrogance. Talking about your humility before? He has no humility.
There's no paisley that should be on Antonin Scalia's tie. Oh, by the way, is Ruth Ginsburg still a justice? Supreme Court justice? Ruth Bader Ginsburg? Her and Sotomayor, should gang up on
and Kagan.
Antonin and Kagan, the chubby woman.
Yeah, Kagan hit it the other day. The lawyer that is for no marriage equality.
Is she
gave it
is
to
she
him good
progressive,
the other day.
Kagan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Somewhat. There's like 4 people that you could call liberal on the thing.
And how many conservative justices?
5 if Kennedy votes with them. And Anthony Kennedy is another Catholic. As is Mr. Silence.
Silence of the Lambs?
Silence of the Dopes.
You ever notice
Mr. Thomas.
You ever notice that with Congress, the Senate, and Supreme Court justices, the right wing always has just enough bodies in there to make sure that the left wing doesn't get its way and run the country the way it should be ran.
Exactly.
The Senate doesn't have the 60 Democratic votes
To override.
that is required to override the Republicans in the Senate.
Filibusters.
Yeah, the filibuster thing. Now, somebody kept on saying Line Island veto, Line Island veto. We need the Line Island
Line
item veto.
Yeah. That means you can strike out anything in law. The fact of the matter is, any law should be one thing. That's it. Not like the continuing resolution, and Monsanto gets the ability to put in a rider or an amendment.
Right.
No! You don't do that. It's one law. And you vote for that law, and that's it. You know?
Well,
First of all,
you
there
can
are
thank
too
all the zealot, evangelical, religious nuts in this country for having all these Republicans in Washington.
Yeah, they're protecting our country
Cultists.
from those secular humanists.
They're not Christians,
Liberals.
Reverend Billy Bones.
No,
they
they're
are
not.
cultists. They are a cult.
That's correct.
They do not know the God of the Bible. They never did.
The result is that Republicans have closed their hearts to anyone in need of help to participate in the American dream, no matter how modest.
Oh, they have hearts?
No, we said before they do not.
So they can't
Remember?
close it. They don't have it. They can't close it.
A mechanical pump.
Yeah. Like a sump pump that pumps the
No, a sump
dirty
pump.
water out of your basement.
No, a sump pump would pump out their toxins and dirty water and etc. No.
This
pump puts it in them.
It just
Puts the
circulates.
filth in them.
It takes the filthy Ganges River type water and it just keeps on recirculating it.
Yeah. Or the filth that comes from Bachman's mouth or Rush Limbaugh.
Or the East River in New York, or any filthy, toxic, the Potomac River, whatever.
Yeah. The Republican tent includes
Passaic River.
those opposed to women's safety, the rights of gay people, health coverage for all, and a fair immigration policy.
So what you're saying is, in general, civil rights is always under fire
From the Republicans.
from Republicans, in general. If you want to step back and look at the overall picture, civil rights are always a target by Republicans.
And social rights,
Mhm.
like entitlement programs.
That are really technically not entitlements.
Well, they don't think they're entitled. The word entitled means you are entitled to it.
But they think
They change it to welfare programs.
but the rich conservatives think they are entitled to everything they want,
That's correct.
to freebies.
That's correct. They are entitled to give ExxonMobil subsidies. Okay? When they are a profitable corporation. And they don't need any subsidies. And that they should pay their fair share of taxes. Republicans also fight against tax hikes for the very wealthy and the elimination of corporate welfare. And they want no rules whatsoever governing the purchase of deadly weapons. They don't recognize America's unique ability to absorb new people and cultures into our melting pot society, and are trying to make inroads into the working class by telling union members they may lose their jobs to illegals.
In other words, the replacement scab workers will be illegals, but the government should come down on them for hiring illegals.
Ah, that part of it they don't like to enforce.
They don't like that.
No.
It's called being fair.
No, they don't like that part of it.
Fair.
Let the rich have their little nannies and housemaids and etc. Immigrants.
Remember,
And their tomato pickers.
remember the illegal immigrant housekeeper that Christine Todd Whitman had that spilled the beans on her and ratted her out?
Yeah.
She was illegal, and because she probably wasn't treated right. They love the illegal people of color from south of the border to work for them for chicken feed.
Chicken feed.
Chicken
yeah.
scratch.
Exactly. What is the answer to the Republican dilemma?
Send them to the Andromeda Galaxy would be our answer.
That's easy.
Send them all to the Andromeda. Put Rush Limbaugh in coach. Have him sit in the front.
If they can't, or they won't, they can disband. That'll be the day.
Well,
That'll be the day. Okay?
teleport them with Mr. Scotty's device.
Captain, I cannot get in on my power.
Could you imagine another world able to support life? How pissed they would be at Earth for sending Republicans to their planet? Oh, forget it.
The two recent half-hearted snowstorms were just a feeble parting shot of winter for North Jersey residents.
Yeah, old man Winter goes out kicking and screaming.
But for a local species of frog
Oh, what happened?
emerging from hibernation to breed in the coming weeks, the storms were both a blessing and a curse.
How was that?
The snows quickly melted, filling the vernal pools where many species of amphibians will lay their eggs.
They like that.
But the runoff also contained salt.
Oh boy, which would shrivel them up like a cured olive. They'll desiccate them, right?
That road crews had spread
Those bastards.
during the storms, which even at very low concentrations can significantly reduce the survival of frog eggs and larvae. New research by Lisa Hazard, an ecologist at Montclair State University, indicates that the situation might be particularly dire for the wood frog because the adults seem unable to detect elevated levels of salt in the water they might breed in.
I'm surprised you don't have the reading about what happened recently about catching a major animal exotic pet smuggling ring in Thailand, where they confiscated tons of tortoises and snakes to be sent to be smuggled to the United States, and they arrested them. I'm surprised that reading never came up.
Well, it didn't get into our local paper.
Isn't it interesting?
Now, did you see that thing on Facebook yesterday?
Not very competent, are they?
With those two doggies who fell into the well, and there was a cobra in there with them?
A cobra that escaped from some jerk that wanted a pet cobra?
I have no idea, but the cobra was standing up,
With the
and
hood,
the two doggies were cuddling together.
with the hood out.
Yes, he had his hood out.
Some cobras spit venom, man, right in your eyeballs, man.
So I don't know if he was going to attack the doggies or what.
Dangerous wild animal pets should be illegal. It should be illegal to own a potentially dangerous animal, but unfortunately on the internet you can find varieties of scorpion that could kill you with one sting. We have no anti-venom in the United States. You can get poisonous snake. You can get just about anything on the internet. And you know, I bucked heads with a bunch of well, I have nothing against vegans, and I have nothing against animal rights activists, but this person posted a banner of a timber wolf going nose to nose with a little girl, a little toddler, showing that if you treat a wild animal properly, they will not attack you. What a lie that is. They're wild. And I told them, you ever see the series, watch the series Fatal Attraction, of these people that wanted to get a little baby lion or tiger or leopard or whatever, and people that like to keep wolves? And I mean, eventually, hey, I don't care how much TLC you give them, eventually they're going to look at you and say,
Food!
you know what, you're starting to look more and more like food to me today. And it happened. It has happened with
Many times.
with very tragic, fatal consequences. So these people have a need to, you know, get together and sing Kumbaya and everything with the animals, and you know, the lion lying down with the lamb.
Yeah, it ain't the millennium yet.
It's not the millennia yet.
Gee.
You know, so go ahead, get your dangerous wild animal as a pet. Give it TLC and see what happens to you, or see what happens to a poor little child.
Lisa Hazard tested the eastern newt spotted salamander.
I know it well. They become the breeding phase for the males. They call them red-effed where they become a brilliant red color, and they become terrestrial.
Green frog, leopard frog,
What about spring peepers?
northern gray tree frog,
There's a northern tree frog? I didn't know that.
and other local species by placing them in laboratory dishes filled with varying degrees of salty water.
Well, tree frogs lay their eggs on leaves over bodies of water, and then when the little the little tadpoles hatch, they fall into the water.
Most of them quickly jumped out. The wood frog, however, stayed put. It's a bad sign for the long-term prospects of the wood frog, given the use of road salt in the region, scientists say.
Didn't we read articles a long time ago that the first creatures to suffer when the environment is not healthy are the amphibians, because their skin is very sensitive and they absorb any toxins that are in the environment, any impurities?
Yeah.
Yep.
Like the canary in the coal mine.
Yes.
You may have a species that breeds in an environment they can't tell is bad for them. As a result, the population could disappear in a given area. Okay?
Well, when I was a kid, when I was in grammar school,
When I was a kid.
speak for yourself. When I was a kid in grammar school,
I wore cleats. I wore cleats in grammar school,
yeah,
God damn it.
suspenders. You read suspenders.
No, cleats on the bottom of the shoes, the tops.
What do you do with cleats?
You tap, tap, tap down the hall, man.
Were you a tap dancer? Were you in tap
I
dance?
thought I could be a tap dancer.
You thought you were Fred Astaire or the Nicholas Brothers?
Yeah.
Anyway, I used to
It was
find.
cool.
I used to find outside on school grounds. I would find toads and I would find box turtles and everything.
Huh.
Here in northeastern New Jersey, you don't see these animals anymore
Around anymore, huh?
with the pollution. Of course, what causes pollution? Business, capitalism causes pollution. That's why.
And don't forget
What causes all these animals that are on the extinction list? The devil's economics,
And don't
capitalism.
forget fertilizers and pesticides.
Well, because it has to do with profit.
Yeah.
They're using. Oh, by the way, I saw a commercial for Roundup Ready pesticide.
Mm-hmm.
Monsanto is now posting commercials for their products.
Oh, how sweet.
Yeah, the drug companies do it.
How sweet.
How sweet, Roundup. They give it a cute name, Roundup.
Public Service Electric and Gas.
PSE&G. They suck.
Crews began removing bird nests along their utility poles in
Englewood.
Edgewater
New Jersey.
on Tuesday.
Is that the home of the runaway parrot or parakeet population?
The removals to keep monk parakeets from nesting
Yeah.
on utility lines to avoid possible short circuits and power outages are not new.
Do they have like brown robes on, like brown hoods over their head? The monk parrots?
Yeah, they have their own monasteries.
They live in a parrot
monastery.
monastery?
Yeah. Or a monkastery. One or the other.
Monkey theory?
Monkastery.
Go ahead.
Though PSC&G began working with the local environmental groups several years ago to minimize the impact on the birds, the plan is to remove approximately 30 nests this week before breeding season begins. So the monk parakeets will have time to build new homes in other locations. Monk parakeets, admired by some for their colorful plumage.
I never seen a picture of them before.
Well, these ones here are green and yellow, just like my parakeet shamrock.
You know what bird is actually so gorgeous? It looks like a cartoon. I would love to have one. It's called a rainbow lorikeet. They're from, I think, northern Australia, but they eat. The problem is, they eat fruit and nectar only, and their fecal matter is wet and messy as hell. And they just, when they crap, they just shoot it anywhere they want, and it is a catastrophe to clean up.
A catastrophe.
Unless the company that makes the pens makes a parrot diaper to keep on them. But
I don't think so.
The woman who sells parrots over at Route 4 Aquarium on Broadway West in Elmwood Park, New Jersey, she told me, they're gorgeous as hell, but any animal, any bird that eats nectar and fruit only, forget it. They're messy. Their shit is gonna go right through the cage onto whatever is there. So anyway, finish this.
Anyway, others view these birds as a nuisance. Last December, they caused a 4-hour power outage that affected about 3,400 customers in Leonia, Englewood Cliffs, and Teaneck.
You know what? I have people tell me all the time that everything is a nuisance. They said the Canadian geese are a nuisance. The wild mallard ducks are a nuisance. Anytime they see a group of wild animals that happen to be in their view in their region, they're a nuisance. Don't they ever think that the animals might be communicating, saying that the humans are a nuisance?
No, they believe, as Rush Limbaugh believes. Excuse me, I think I'm going to sneeze.
Go ahead.
But they believe, as Rush Limbaugh does, that like porpoises are stupid.
Stupid. Whales are stupid, and it doesn't matter if they get caught in tuna nets and die. That's what fat, blowhard, double or triple chin Rush Limbaugh says. That they're not. It's a animal rights activist, tree hugger propaganda coming from the left that whales and dolphins are intelligent. That according to Rush Limbaugh, I guess the only thing that counts is profit.
Whoa!
Money.
PSC&G and bird advocates used to be more at odds on nest removals, but over the years, the two sides have worked together more closely. We appreciate that the birds are beautiful, that people find them peaceful, said PSC&G spokeswoman Christine Snodgrass.
Of course they're peaceful. What do they think? You got pterodactyls over there?
But the environmentalists also appreciate what our problems are with our equipment. Alison Evans Fragale, founder of the Edgewater Parrot Society, said that she's pleased with how the utility company is handling the removal and appreciated PSC&G's willingness recently to contact her organization a month in advance to give them ample time to arrange for society members to supervise the work. Ideally, the nest should be removed when the weather is not too cold, so the birds won't freeze as they build new homes. Yet the work must be done before the breeding season. This is probably the most ideal week to remove the nests. It will give the birds enough time to rebuild the nests.
I'm really, really annoyed at the fact that article about the exotic pet smugglers being caught and arrested did not appear with our local media. What the hell? I mean, I don't know. It's not much of a photo. It's just
well, that's for you, not for them.
Oh, and the hell of it. Yeah, I know what PSC&G workers look like.
I'm talking about the parakeets.
Oh, the Oh, they're there?
Oh, geez, the little picture.
Yeah, a little.
No, on the other side. There you go.
Oh, well, that's small. They're not going to see that.
Yeah, well, I know that.
Let me take a look at this.
It's only for you, not them.
For my edification.
For your edification. Now, whoa! These
Easy
almost
to-
fell off my chair.
Oh, they're pretty. They're like, all right, yeah.
Now,
Parrots are often pretty.
a while ago, our local newspaper ran an article
Yeah.
involving this new junk science study, etc., coming from Smithsonian Institute
Uh-huh.
concerning cats.
Cats?
That cats are killers,
Well, naturally, they're predatory
and that they should
carnivore.
be killed.
They're predatory carnivores. That's how nature made them. They should be killed.
And they kill millions of birds
So
and
these
rodents every year.
these are people who want to play God and want to start committing genocide towards the feline population for doing what felines normally do. They eat meat and they hunt. Why don't they enforce laws about people that want to get a pet cat have to neuter or spay them, mandatory, otherwise get hit with heavy fines? And this will stop all these lowlives that get pets and not spay or neuter them. Then you won't have a feral cat population that will hunt the songbirds, the wild birds, and there wouldn't be a problem. See, it's the people that
Well, we
are the
don't know
problem.
Yeah, but we don't know that study was actually real or anything. It's junk.
It's not the cat's fault that they were born carnivores and that they hunt.
Yeah.
But it is the people's fault that acquire a pet without doing the research or taking the responsibility for having that pet. I'm serious. I know Americans are impulse buyers. You know, they see something cute and they just have to have what they want. And they don't do the research. Well, guess what? Cats like to keep their claws trimmed. Rabbits like to keep their buck teeth trimmed. So they gnaw, cats scratch, get fur balls, and cats, if you don't feed them, if you let them outside and they're outdoor cats, they'll hunt birds. I don't care, rodents is no big deal. You know, birds I care about, but you know, the point is that's what they do. Just like the scorpion stings, that's what it does. Well, a cat hunts, and they do it well. They have cats give off like a bird call to lure the bird in. It's very fascinating to watch, but
Well,
I've seen it in action.
writer George Fenwick calls for euthanasia if necessary.
What about euthanizing George Fenwick?
To eliminate an estimated 30 million to 80 million unowned cats to protect the birds.
George Fenwick, you're a douchebag, and you deserve to be on the receiving end of my blackthorn shillelagh. Or this USDA grade A ham hock.
He argues against humane trap, neuter, and return programs, stating that free-roaming cats are an important source of animal-transmitted serious diseases such as rabies, toxoplasmosis, and the plague.
Don't they have laws concerning dogs that should apply to having cats as pets too? You got to get to the root of the feral cat problem, the issue, and it's not the cat's fault. It's the ownership by humans are at fault.
Really? Well, let's check the facts.
Let's check the facts.
Plague. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, in recent decades, an average of 7 human plague cases have been reported each year in the United States. Rodents, not cats, are the source.
Yeah, the flea. That's how the bubonic black plague from the Middle Ages started, from the flea. The parasite, the flea transferred.
By the rodent.
Yeah, the rat flea.
Rabies. New Jersey rabies cases are reported annually by the Department of Health and Senior Services. The state's 2012 report noted, for the last 5 years, there has been an average of 16 cats infected with rabies annually. Toxoplasmosis. Cats are far down the CDC's list of transmission sources. Yes, infected cats can transmit toxoplasmosis, but only when humans ingest the parasite from contact with infected cat feces.
What are the chances of that happening? unless a person...
Oh, I shall lick my fingers after cleaning my kitty litter box of my cat. According to the CDC, bird droppings can transmit toxoplasmosis.
Hey, man. Turtle feces, iguana feces have salmonella. Hey, you think? What about our feces? You think our feces is friggin' filet mignon or a prime rib? Give me a break.
Toxoplasmosis, salmonella, and other diseases.
Hey, that's why
Canada geese.
That's why it's waste matter. It's going out instead of coming in.
I don't think they are called Canada geese. They're called Canadian geese. Are they not? I think I heard somebody correct that the other day.
I'm not sure.
I think it's
whatever. It has to do with Canada.
Right. Canadian geese are a source of concentrated bird droppings. Some communities, including Bergen County, have resorted to gassing geese.
Well, their fecal matter in overabundance contaminates lakes and brooks, streams and such. Yeah, that is true. There's a lot of them, and there's no natural predators for these geese, from what I understand.
To control the population.
Well, maybe the coyotes, because the coyotes are getting close to us too over here.
This is inhumane when there are non-lethal solutions such as chasing geese with border collies or oiling eggs to prevent hatching.
Oiling them?
Along those lines, I prefer a trap, neuter, and release program to manage the unowned cat population instead of euthanasia. Mass killings are wrong for cat or bird population control when non-lethal methods are available.
It's a tough solution because no matter how you look at it, it ends up being very sad for the feral cat, whether it be trap, neuter, or spay and release. And then the cat is still feral and gets into trouble, and it's like, and then the people get animals that are not spayed and neutered, and all animals that can be a nuisance when set free in the wild should be spayed and neutered by law. And if you can't afford to get them spayed and neutered, don't get the pet. You can't afford to take on the responsibility of the pet, the animal, or the human, or the birth of a child. Don't do it. That's all.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. Don't do it.
Oh, yeah.
And there should be laws about acquiring certain animals that, if they're set free, if they're not indigenous to the area, invasive species, for preventing invasive species, there should be laws about that also. Oh, by the way, somebody posted that photo.
Ain't that the truth?
On Facebook, and I put it on the hard-hitting truth Facebook group that we
I didn't
have.
see it yesterday.
Oh, it's there. That's Antonin Scalia with the fat face and the double chin.
Yeah, you don't believe in marriage for gays, but he sure believes in marriage with corporations and a government.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's basically what he believes in. I'm sure. I have a feeling if it was in our newspaper here, that newspapers across the country, if Facebook has it, then it's going to get around.
No.
But it's Antonin Scalia saying something real dumb, like any right-winger. They all come from the same mold.
Speaking of Antonin Scalia, we might want to end up with one.
Okay.
With mentions Mr. Scalia.
All right. Our last...
I am appalled.
Who's appalled?
I am appalled at the United States Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia for calling the Voting Rights Act a perpetuation of racial entitlement. See that? The right to vote is an entitlement
So what would
for
they?
Mr. Scalia.
So what would they suggest that they would have just a fascist government where we don't have voting?
Or just deny it to the blacks and Hispanics.
In other words, deny
That's
it, deny it,
And
to-
women.
deny it,
And
to-
women, remember.
And
they
women.
didn't get the vote until 1920.
deny voting to any group of people that would vote for a Democrat. That's what they're trying to say.
Well, of course, that's what they're trying to do.
Because if they want to deny voting of people of color and women, okay,
And Hispanic.
minorities in general, and Hispanics, African Americans, they're actually denying voting to people that will traditionally vote for a
Democratic.
progressive liberal or a Democrat, and they don't want that. They just want to be in charge with their corporate fascist plutocracy. That's what
They
they
want to win elections with their lousy policies and ideas.
Well, the underlying reason is greed and power. They could say anything they want. They can come up with any bullshit
well, they used to be able to do
morality about their stupid zealot right-wing fundamentalist church. They can say anything they want. But the bottom line is money and power. Now, what is more the root obsession? Is it the power or the money?
It's the power.
So the money creates the power,
The money just gives you more power.
and the desire for power is
It
kind
all
of,
feeds on itself. It's like the hamster in a wheel,
well,
constantly going around and around and around and around and around. Perpetual motion.
doesn't that sound like
Machine.
the first sin committed by Lucifer against the rebellion? Vanity was the first sin.